Hi everybody, Mal here from the Property AI Report. I'm afraid that this week's episode doesn't have the greatest audio. However, the content is, as you'd expect, pretty damn good. So apologies in the first place for the fact that this isn't up to our usual standards, but we will make sure we fix it for next week. Enjoy. Hi everybody and welcome to the Property AI Report. This is your weekly digest of all things property and AI, brought to you by me, Mal McCallion, and my good friend and co-host, Matt Goddard. Matt, how are you today?
I'm fantastic. I'm up in North Wales, so I've had a beat round the streets. A bit of a, you reminded me that it's quite hilly here, so just getting my breath back and getting the day started.
You've already had your first celeb spot as you ran past the Wrexham ground, right?
That's it. Chris Moores is in the turf recording his XFM breakfast show. If anyone BDI is watching, you might see someone flash past. Not flash, but run past. Yes, no, the quality of the entertainment, I'm sure, if you're listening to this as opposed to Chris Moores, is significantly higher here. I'm sure everyone will agree with that. To the point that we must put on with our first section, which is property news. All right, so this actually has dropped as a news story this morning. So it is Tuesday, the 16th of September today. And Zoopla is back in the news and potentially back on the block. Sky News is reporting that Silver Lake, who owns it, is looking at all different options for a potential sale of the different assets of the business, which include things like Confused.com, Money.co.uk, Home Track, Prime Location, and others. This isn't really too much of a surprise, is it, Matt? No, we've been aware of it for a little while, haven't we? That it's obviously Silver Lake have split the business off into those three segments. You've got Alto pushing very hard and doing a lot of advertising and strategic placing. You've got the Uswitch side of things and then the property portal. But was it a few months back that they came out saying it's $500 million we wanted, and you said it was then rattling the coin jar trying to get up from maybe a 350 million offer that had come in. Do you think CoStar are still waiting in the wings, or has Domain taken their eye off this one?
I think that Star is splitting its attention way too much. But I do think that strategically, if they want to win in the UK, if they really want to take out Rightmove, they really first have to take out Zoopla, and the easiest way of doing that is acquiring it. I think that now that Silver Lake appear to be reputable sources, in fact, to the point that actually the spokesperson for Zoopla has come out and said, we wouldn't be surprised if we're looking at things like this because we're a very popular and successful company. Periodically, we do these things. So it's confirmed that actually they are actually looking to see what their options are. And yeah, I would be astonished if CoStar did not stump up 180 million, 200 million, something like that to see if they can acquire it, because they will spend millions otherwise fighting whoever gets it. So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. But again, it is also an asset that potential other acquirers might be interested in. I think it's a going concern. I don't know what the margins are. It has been as high as 40% back in the day. It's hardly a kind of unprofitable business and is a reasonably healthy entity on its own. However, if your goal is to overtake the number one, if your goal is to ensure that you are still a preferred supplier as money dries up, as Rightmove continues to increase its prices every single year, and agents are having to look at their wallets and make some decisions about what to use, then you're going to need more than just being a kind of also ran. And I think that's probably why Silver Lake are looking down this and saying, look, the competitive environment is only going to get worse. This isn't the strategy that we adopted in 2018 has not worked. Whatever we've pivoted to over time as well is not giving us enough to be confident that going forwards in the new world with AI coming along as well, that actually we're going to be in an ongoing successful situation. So it just feels like a kind of asset that they've sweated it. I think I've given them the 5x. They bought it for 2.2 billion, even if you accept that there were other assets in there as well. And perhaps it was only worth 1.6 of that 2.2 billion. Even still, if they are going to sell it for below 300 million, something like that, then that is a significant hit.
No, exactly. And as I said at the start, I've been around the hills of North Wales this morning, so I've only just caught, as we were discussing things beforehand, is it everything that's up for sale, or is it the portal? What's the reporting on this? Is Alto also in the mix?
Yeah, so the quote is that they are looking at options. So yes, Alto is also there. They've currently deployed various of the big accounting firms to have a look at potential sales and stuff like that. So I think all of the assets are, yes, potentially available, including Alto, I would imagine.
I've heard Alto was for sale. And this was prior. I'm not saying I'm some sort of soothsayer. I've just heard that they've been advised, and obviously discussed in previous podcasts how the business has been split out. But I wonder who, for example, obviously I have a keen interest on the CRM with my
Rebit background, and you're obviously the,
Yeah.
the portal guru. I wonder if people like MRI would sniff around Alto, or if it would be just another PE house coming in.
Yeah. Would that be would that be a competition situation, as in competition authority? Would that give them too much power?
Well,
Because I imagine Alto's
I
got
don't
something
think
like
so over here, because
25% of the market.
but if you think about MRI over here, and by that I mean they're massive in Australia and hoovered up a lot of people, and obviously big in North America. But over here, they really only acquired Aspasia
Hmm.
and CML of any
Okay.
note. And so I don't think from that point of view, I think if it was maybe Repeat and Alto, then there'd
Yeah.
be a question mark around that market share and CMA point. But it's certainly an interesting one to watch, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So then on that basis, I'd imagine that MRI must be quite interested in sniffing around and adding it to their mix. All right. So obviously we will continue to keep you up to date on all the stuff that's happening there. But yes, it's the quote is that it's business as usual at Zoopla whilst this continues. But yeah, I'm sure it's very unsettling for everybody there, and good luck to them and to all the people that are involved in this particular moment. All right. Next up on our property news, there's been a claim, and it's quite a punchy claim, that less than half of estate agents never use PropTech. Okay, this is from Inventory Base that says that 55% of respondents, i.e., estate agents, said reports they never use PropTech.
Did they only get respondents via pigeon post or smoke signals? Like, how were
I,
those respondents this survey caught? Was it quill and
they stood
parchment?
out, yeah, they stood outside Poundland and just waited for 2,000
Door,
agents to walk past.
door knocks.
Um, exactly. So yeah, so as you may surmise, we certainly won't speak from that. I'm somewhat dubious about the fact that 55% of agents don't use PropTech, because I've been dealing with estate agents for 25 years, and Matt has similarly. And it's, we know that way more than 45% of them have, for example, a CRM system. You might argue that using a portal might even be described as using PropTech. And there's a few of them around, and quite a few agents use them. So yeah, with all the greatest respect to the survey and its methodology and stuff like that, I don't know that the accepted definition of PropTech is one that is being used here. What do you think?
I am, yes, and you could, if we were being less cheeky on a Tuesday morning, it's look at it as being Simon and the Kerfuffle team did research where I think the average agency had 20 bits of prop tech within
Yeah,
it. So you could say maybe it's a case of not using all the prop tech they'd acquired. And I remember someone saying that they were trialing a HR system in one branch of Belvoir, and it's a case of if you've got two employees, do you need a HR system? And is that really a use of it? Or even the other way of maybe slicing it is to say, and quite a lot of time people are only using, it's Pareto principle, isn't it? People are only using 20% of the functionality available. And in this age, we've got to where everyone's creeping into the other, we've talked about this off air, horizontal/vertical sections of the supply chain. Like maybe
yeah,
you've got the same prop tech doing the same thing, or different prop techs doing the same thing, and you're not utilizing the full functionality of another. So you could argue that maybe that's the angle coming from it, rather than just saying,
yeah.
no, we are only doing our floor plans by hand, and we're doing our details via the photocopier and our
Quill,
pictures. Yes,
Quill,
maybe that would be probably been facetious enough on that one.
well, yeah. I'd say so. I don't know. I'd say I'm not quite sure that the headline is from this week. But yes, 48% of professionals say that PropTech is not important at all. At all. It's not even like a little bit. It's not at all. Only 25% consider it essential. Obviously, perhaps there's some innate bias in the fact that this is perhaps where we've grown up, but I just think that for only 25% to say that using technology in property is essential, I think is rather wide of a mark. That's where I'm going to leave that. But yes, good luck, everybody. If you're not using any prop tech and don't intend to use it, I think it's rubbish. So yeah, okay. So that's the survey from Inventory Base. Our next third story in property news this week is the RICS, amazingly making it onto the Property and AI Report podcast, because they have an AI guide for how to use AI in surveying. So it's a new AI surveying standard. Now, I have to say I was quite surprised that it's the RICS that brought this out, but also quite impressed, really, because it just came out of nowhere. There wasn't any kind of real lead into this. But the acting president-elect, she says, artificial intelligence offers real promise to the surveying profession only if used responsibly and ethically. This standard ensures surveyors remain at the forefront of innovation while protecting clients' data and public trust. I really like this. I like lots about it. It's the whole kind of idea that yes, we are using this technology and it's impressive, but at the same time, there are challenges. And actually, this is a really good example of a kind of governing body actually helping guide their members with what is a really tricky space.
No, absolutely. And it's right at a time where we've talked previously about America dialing back from a lot of the AI governance and trust, and with
Mm.
the European legislation working its way through. I think you're saying that it's come out of RICS. I can understand your response, but we do have an AI
Sorry,
focused.
Rix.
We do have an AI focused Pope now as well. So we've got to realise that if God's keeping an eye on AI, then maybe RICS can do the same.
This is very true. Yes. So the previous Pope actually would look very cool in his sort of Balenciaga coats and stuff like that, which was very early. That's only AI use of Mid-Journey. But yes, does seem to have that whoever's occupying the Vatican does seem to take an inordinate interest in AI, which is good. Absolutely, I think this is important. But you're right. What's good enough for the Pope is good enough for the Ricks, and that's impressive. But yeah, I think that many others, other kind of governing bodies slash those with oversight would do well to have a look at what these guys are doing, because I think it is really impressive. And again, without being overly patronizing, all the more so impressive that it's one of the more traditional groupings. And yeah, to this point, to my knowledge, they haven't done anything particularly strong in this area. So yes, well done them. That's a really good development. All right, that is our property news for this week. Let's get stuck in, shall we, to some AI and tech news. All right, this week there's more big deals, right? Big deals. OpenAI and Oracle. Reportedly, allegedly, asterisk caveat, perhaps they have that, but yes, it's been reported by Bloomberg, so therefore there's been leaked to the right ears that OpenAI and Oracle have signed a $300 billion agreement over X number of years, insert whatever number you want in there, and it's going to supply basically compute from Oracle for OpenAI's mission to drop AI into the world everywhere as part of the Stargate mission as well, announced by President Trump a few months ago. But yeah, it's huge. And almost Oracle have come out of nowhere with this, because historically, as you know, not better than I do, it's been all of the other big tech companies that have bought this particular type of
That's it. So it's a trio of them, really, wasn't it? So Google, who I forgot earlier, AWS, so Amazon Web Services, and Microsoft with their Azure platform were really the big three for cloud hosting. But Oracle with this deal has just rocketed, to carry on the parlance that you used with your Stargate earlier on, rocketed into like basically top four now, haven't they? Anyone watching watching the video, Mal just gave it a power to the people, fist pump there, and I'm not watching on video, but it really has changed the dial on that. But it's another one where OpenAI is moving away from Microsoft.
Yeah, I think that's probably, you're right. That's probably the kind of the big underlying story here, is that there is this kind of parting of the ways between Microsoft and OpenAI. There are other whispers this week that Microsoft have finally given the okay to OpenAI to go for this for-profit entity that they've been trying to wrangle, so that they're no longer just a kind of charity, essentially, a not-for-profit. So yeah, they seem to be parting gently, but seriously. Obviously, Microsoft themselves have now started to release their own models. They've got Stafford Suleiman as their kind of head of Microsoft AI, who's really serious guy. So yeah, it looks like they are now starting to really punch, and it's almost a kind of quite a grown up, for want of a better phrase, way of going about it. They at the time that AI was just launched, at GPT 3.5 in November 2022. They needed as much serving as possible, so Microsoft stepped in and took loads of shares in return, and they built this crazy partnership. And then now that OpenAI is making billions per month, it is they're now sensibly saying, look, all right, you go your way, we'll go ours, we'll compete, but also we'll still serve up some stuff, we'll still have some shares in you, etc. But yeah, this deal with Oracle is huge and has pumped Oracle's share price by 40%, to the point that Larry Ellison, who is the 40% shareholder in Oracle, is now the richest person in the world, at Elon Musk, suddenly, from nowhere. Which I imagine isn't going down well.
Just because obviously you made quite an important point about the richest man in the world, so I'm going to pull it back down to our level. What did Gwyneth Paltrow and Chris Martin call it when they split up?
Conscious uncoupling.
Is that what Microsoft and OpenAI are doing?
100%. What they've done is they've looked around the world for inspiration, and they've thought, who could we turn to? And seen that Gwynny and Chris managed to do that conscious uncoupling, and that's essentially the template that they've adopted, and I think it's worked.
That's
Great.
it.
It's
And
good.
in the other news, with the sort of continuation of that, we've got Microsoft buying their AI from Anthropic now as well.
I know, honestly, it's so much current twitchy gossip. People get into bed with each other. They previously weren't even looking at each other. But yeah, I think that's happening. There's talk of, as you've said before, Paul, and Anthropic and Apple and Google, and now Google and OpenAI as well. They're partnering up with some stuff too. So there is a lot of, I was going to use the phrase bed hopping there. Well, that's not the right one. And there's a lot of new partnerships being developed and also uncoupled
Yes.
along the way. So yeah, look, it's and all of them basically are just grappling for space and for dominance and for how many customers can we get on our system as quickly as possible, because once we get you hooked on the stuff, then yeah, you're not gonna go anywhere else because our stuff's really great. So,
And do you think the foundational models are becoming commoditized in that respect, where the people are switching around, like you said, bed hopping, promiscuous, or is it a case of still Claude Code, for example, is still pretty much number one for code in
yeah,
a very specific utilities?
it's interesting, isn't it? Because there's been quite a big splash this week as well with Greg Brockman, who is he's the president of OpenAI. He used to be the CTO, but yeah, he's one of the co-founders and is very much on the tech side. He's been out on various podcasts talking about Codex, which is the OpenAI version of full code, with GPT-5 and agentic. That actually it's now going off and doing long projects and doing them really well with a 90% success rate. So they are really targeting the enterprise. And to your point, are they going to be able to peel away some of those uh, fraud coders who have used it for the last couple of years, and actually now that ChatGPT 5 plus Codex equals some really solid work, and you can just leave it for hours and it will code and it will come back and show you
Yeah.
what it's done. It does seem like that's then that there is a potential switch there. So yeah, to your point, I think the ChatGPT 5 launch showed that the gains are not as significant as they have been in the past. Everybody is now looking around at productizing all this sort of stuff. So we spoke last week, I think, or the week before, about OpenAI developing a recruitment platform product. All of these things does indicate that they think that the new game is right. Let's productize the heck out of everything and try and get people to use it on a day-to-day basis. Yeah, I do think they're going to become commoditized. I do think people aren't wedded to the brand. In our business, we switch in and switch out, whichever one is the most powerful tool platform, large language model, really with whatever comes out. As soon as Gemini 3 drops, which again is going to be in the next couple of months or something like that, then we'll probably plug that in instead of GPT-5 or any of the others. Yeah, I think it's going to continue down that path. And what is going to be interesting is how they then productize all of these things and bring those to market. Okay, so our next story on AI and tech news, it's around this idea of the AI native Office suite. So can you just basically set AI off? And again, referring back to the kind of coding side of things, this is much more on the operational side. If you think about your office and think about all the things you do on a day-to-day basis or your teams do. It's a question that's posed by Andreessen Horowitz, also known as A16Z or Z. They are a venture capital firm, very deep into AI. And what they're talking about is this new wave of agentic AI actually going to mean that we literally can just let things run? So our AI native offices run while we go out and do the things that I've been talking about, certainly within Model Prop and elsewhere to clients in due course, which is you leave the machines doing the machine jobs, and then you as an agent, you can actually go out as a state agent, lettings agent, you can go out and flesh, touch grass, and yeah, do the human stuff. And I think that is the direction of travel. And I do think that that's something that's going to become more and more showcased as particularly the next couple of years goes by. What do you think? What's your take on it?
It's leaning on that digital twin concept, isn't it? And there's the idea that if, apart from voice and face, even face like we are now, you could be an avatar, and I'm jerky enough with this signal that I could be as well. Your Teams interactions, your WhatsApps, your Slack messages, your emails, there's no reason that you couldn't have an agentic picking those up and responding and building context. And what I found interesting in this particular article blog piece was the look at vertical workflows versus horizontal workflows. I do dispute whether they've got horizontal and vertical right in this respect, but that's for another side. So
We were talking about this earlier. Just to recap, yeah. So a vertical, in our view, is not necessarily the view of the authors, is basically an industry kind. So like property.
Supply chain.
Exactly right. So it is, yeah, it goes up and down, and there are various points and various businesses involved. And then a horizontal is you're doing the same thing, I don't know,
online advertising, so like a classified, but you're doing it for multiple different sectors, so like cars and jobs and property. So that's our understanding of verticals and horizontals. But they've got this wrong, Matt, and that makes you a little
Well,
bit cross.
thanks for the economics recap there, Mal. I think so. Just
For
to
those who are still
just
listening, of which there are probably very few.
to
Matt, do continue.
summarize, the article covers general assistance versus task specific and sets off the quality. So I think going back to this idea that everyone's now focusing on the wrapper that goes around the foundational model. So we've talked in the past about Manus and obviously ChatGPT and things like that, that I quite regularly will ask Manus to put together a slide deck for me, disappear off, come back, and it'll tap me on the shoulder when it's ready for review. And I do that with a number of very generalist tasks. It can do spreadsheet analysis, it can do the PowerPoint presentations, it can build websites. And so it's comparing that versus some of the more task specific. So going back to PowerPoint, Gamma is very good at utilizing that, and or emails we mentioned either last week or the week before that we both use
mail.
Fixer, and Fixer as well, which I use to categorize them and create drafts. And sometimes you get emails and you think, is that being created by Fixer? But it's not just writing the draft in basically response to the email that's come in, but actually goes back over time and gets context from all your other emails. And the article was interesting because it was rating the quality of those tools across a number of different benchmarks in terms of generation time, visual design, content quality, editability, and prompt alignment. And just seeing where sort of these task-specific agentics were winning out versus the more generalist ones. But also, you've been a big fan of, obviously, the browsers, and Deer, who's your favourite prior to it getting acquired by Atlassian. And I don't know if that's changed, actually, but in the sort
I'm
of
still waiting for
benchmarking
OpenAI
of
as well.
That's it. So once that comes out, but the use case of research, Deer actually scored low for both analysis depth and source attribution, whereas Manus came in high at data accuracy, table quality, and analysis depth. It's quite interesting with that horizontal versus vertical, and on whether you just go all in on one generalist or actually start using some of these task-specific AIs, which probably those people not using any PropTech won't be using those either.
Maybe they're just going to skip straight to AI. Maybe that's the game. The 55% of people not using any technology at all. Brilliant. Thanks for that, Matt. Yeah, that's the end of our AI and tech news. We are now going to dive into our tool of the week. We're talking Apple, finally, again. Apple Intelligence. And we've been slightly disparaging about Apple Intelligence over the recent months. And this time they've actually got something really on the nail, haven't they? It's really good.
It's a couple of weeks or even longer since Google announced their live translation for the AI, wasn't it? Apple Intelligence is doing very much that. And from the demos and presentations that they gave, it's translating in real time with your AirPods. I think you have to have AirPod Pro 3 and also the latest Apple phone in order to achieve this. And you're nodding ferociously there.
And also be outside the EU at this point. So there's a few hoops to jump through. It's a few hoops to jump through. It's coming.
But
yeah, no, it looks
I did go all out, didn't I, and say that I don't think they'll mention anything. So I've been left with egg on my face on this one, or if you're translating that to a different language at the same time.
Very good. Lovely work. Yeah, so I think there is talk that Apple is slowly behind the scenes getting its act together, and they're trying to play this. Well, we always wait until something's a little bit more mature before we do it. And when they talk about the old iPod, for those who are as old as I am, that wasn't the first MP3 player.
The white one with the dial in the middle of the screen.
The little spinny thing. Yeah, amazing times. But yeah, the beauty of that obviously was it was really good. It was excellently marketed. But yeah, there were numerous MP3 players before that. But none of them took hold. So yeah, Apple just came along, Steve Jobs, and just made it amazing and a great experience, and sold it as 1 million songs in your pocket, which at the time was like, it's amazing. Yes, but we're still messing about with CDs and tapes and all that. But yeah, I think it looks really good. It's going to be a little bit of a wait until it comes across. But randomly, I was in a meeting with a number of Chinese people over the last couple of weeks. And they all had these Google Pixels in their ears, and they had this bank of computers. And I was with some colleagues, and yeah, it was very noticeable that they could pick up almost instantaneously, although they did have a translator, but they could pick up almost instantaneously what we were saying, because they'd suddenly start talking to each other at the same time about something we'd said before the interpreter had actually translated it. So yeah, it's a real thing, and more, I think we're going to find ourselves using it. So I think it's going to be really good. Well done, Apple.
The Babelfish, modern take on the
Babelfish. Yeah, great series of books there. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Amazing. Good. All right. I'm just really not time, but I'm going to do it anyway for Weird AI of the Week. All right. This is another quite silly one, but it is, and everybody's sitting down for this is the AI beard shaver. That's right. You didn't know that you needed an AI beard shaver, did you? But good news, it's here. And what it does is actually learns the contours of your face. It gives you different colored kind of gradings for how good you are at shaving your own face with this electric razor, to the point that then it gives you encouragement to get better. And then, yeah, in the end, you actually end up with, apparently, this is according to Wired magazine, the smoothest shave they've ever seen from an electric shaver. Matt, do you think you'll be investing?
Oh, yeah, I wonder if I could let it loose on my head.
Yeah, obviously close as all that, but yeah, it could be the new thing, right? Actually, we should get you one of these and do a proper product test.
If I lose my eyebrows, there's probably my strongest features, probably because it's the only bit of hair on my face. But
I think this would be very careful and take great care with your eyebrows.
I
So
think
maybe
I
you
need
should,
to watch the video in the link first before I commit to
yeah,
anything.
you need to have a look at it. But yes, so this is where the point of this is AI is getting everywhere to the point that even your face is about to be massaged, shall we call it, by AI. But yeah, just really, really interesting that this is a Philips as well. So it's not like from some random company. But yeah, AI is coming for all of our products and services, going to improve everything. So yeah, good news there. I'm looking forward to seeing it coming into toothbrushes to give you gradings on how well you brush your teeth, and just generally sit on the sidelines and basically disparage everything you do until you do it. There we go. That is our weird AI of the week, and that is all we have time for this week. Matt, thank you very much indeed for your time. What are you up to this week? You got some exciting stuff on?
Heading into Moneypenny this afternoon, there's a Rayner Personnel versus Money Welcome to Wrexham event this afternoon and tomorrow. How about yourself? What are you up to, Matt?
That'll be amazing. Look, just that a busy one. Lots of agents to talk to. I went out to an event by UKAI, which is the UK's non-governmental organisation, kind of umbrella for AI, up in Cambridge yesterday. But really good. All about ethical AI, and had some really good speakers. Yes, there's Cambridge Tech Week happening this week, so I'll see a bit of that. But yeah, apart from that, it is just lots of some fun product development and speaking to loads and loads of great agents. So looking forward to that as well. Thanks to everybody for listening, and we will be back next week with even more property and AI news. Thanks for listening. Have great weeks yourselves, and we will see you then. All the best. Take care. Bye.